finally filming. Oh, the mic's not plugged in.
I look like an Amish schoolgirl, but that's completely fine. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Forensic Friday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. If you love true crime and makeup, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I know some of you have seen my videos more than once and you just have not hit that subscribe button. Hit it, please. Today's video will be featuring the new Venice Fling palette by Bailey Sarian and Estate Cosmetics, the queen of murder, mystery, and makeup Monday. Shana sha, shana sha, shana sha, shana sha, shana sha. Am I the only one who sings that with her when she sings it? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I might just be the only one. This would not be a true crime and makeup series if I did not do Bailey Sarian's palette. Oh my God. You guys know how big of a fan I am of Bailey Sarian. I've talked about her in my videos in the past. She is a huge inspiration for this series, Forensic Friday. So I just had to give her props for the queen to the queen. All the other products I'm using in this video will be linked in the description below. Just a few things before we get started. Please read the disclaimer. I am in no way an MUA or professional makeup artist by any means. I'm just the average girl at home like you, playing in makeup and talking about true crime. What's better than that? But for real, I'm not. And enjoy the video. This all takes place in Dallas, Texas on June 6, 1996. Darren and Darlie Routier was a young couple in their mid to late 20s. They had 3 little boys, 6-year-old Damon, 5-year-old Devin, and 8-month-old Drake. They were cute little boys. Can I say that, or does that sound weird? That sounds really weird. I'm gonna take that out. They were beautiful children. How about that? Beautiful little boys. I'm not a predator, I promise. All of these D's, Darren, Darlie, Damon, Devin, and Drake. Did they do that on purpose? I think they did that on purpose. While Darlie was a stay-at-home mom, so she pretty much just stayed at home with the boys all the time, while Darren went out to work, and he was a pretty successful entrepreneur. His business was in repairing mainframe computers, and it was really successful. In fact, in 1995, he got close to $300,000, which is big in that year. In 1995, that was a lot of money. I mean, right now, you know, that ain't nothing, especially in LA, but then that was a lot of money. It is said that he had a few intensive contracts with government agencies. So on the night of June 6, 1996, Darren was upstairs asleep with 8-month-old Drake, while Darlie was downstairs with the other children sleeping in the living room on the floor. I don't understand that, why they weren't in their beds, but okay. At around 2:30 in the morning, someone broke into their home and stabbed the 2 children, and then turned their knife onto Darlie. Darlie woke up with a knife to her throat, and she started to obviously freak out. She said that she had a brief struggle with the intruder before he just ran off. He just left the house. And she was so distraught, she called 911. By the time paramedics arrived, 6-year-old Devin was dead. 5-year-old Damon was barely alive and was rushed to the hospital. He actually ended up passing away at the hospital. Darlie was taken into the hospital to repair her neck wound. She was actually really lucky because it had just missed her carotid artery. It missed her carotid artery by 2 centimeters, so that was really close. She could have been... She also had a stab wound on her arm. Paramedics noticed that Darlie's panties were actually missing, and when they asked her, you know, what happened? Where's your panties? She said that she thinks that she may have been raped, but that she wasn't sure. She does remember feeling like some pressure down there. As she woke up to the attack, doctors performed a rape test on her. They did a rape kit, and the rape kit came back negative, so she was not raped. So we don't know what the hell was going on. And where the f was Darren, her husband? Like, listen, if you can sleep through all of that, if you can sleep through all of that downstairs, sir, I'm getting a divorce. I'm getting a divorce. Darlie described the attacker as a white male about 6 feet tall. She said he was wearing a black shirt, some jeans, and a baseball cap. Investigators noticed that the screen inside of the Routier's garage had been cut. Darlene told the cops that the intruder dropped the murder weapon on the floor as he fled. So as he was running, she says that he dropped the murder weapon, which why would he do that? Like, some murderers just are not smart. They're just not smart. It's time to switch professions. I don't think you need to be an intruder anymore. You need to do something else, you know, because you are not responsible. You're fired. You're fired, sir. You dropped the murder weapon on the floor. You're fired. You're relieved of your intruder murderer duties, okay? Okay, you can stop now. Thanks. In the alley about 2 blocks away from the Routier's home, police found a bloody sock. Although initially when the police were searching the Routier's home, they thought that it might have been a robbery, after looking at all of the evidence and the way that the crime scene was like set up and staged, police decided that it did not appear to be a robbery. That's not good. Me and my brows, dude. Me and my brows. You guys know I have an ongoing fist fight with them every single video. Police thought that it wasn't consistent with a robbery because between the living room, the kitchen, and the bedroom, there was 13 gold rings laying out and a lady's watch that had been just sitting out on the counters exposed, and the intruder didn't even take any of those. So police was like, this is definitely not a robbery, because they would have taken at least some of those. I mean, 13 gold rings and a lady's watch. If you broke in and you were looking to rob the place, those would be the first things that you would take. They're sitting right out on the kitchen counters. So that's kind of strange. A robber who doesn't really take anything. It's weird. The most prominent evidence that they had at the crime scene was the blood. Investigators hoped that the blood splatter pattern would tell them more about what occurred that night. So when police examined the Routier home, it appeared that the assailant entered the home through a screen window in the garage. They found that the screen in the garage was cut. This is where things get a little bit bizarre as far as Darren is concerned. When he came down into the family room where the detectives were to talk with them, the first thing out of his mouth was not like, where's my kids? How is my kids doing? Where's Devin? Where's Damon? Like, what's going on? He didn't even like ask if the children were okay at all. That's kind of strange. I mean, if your kids just got stabbed and your wife also almost had her throat slit, you would think that you would at least question if your kids are okay, or you would be freaking out about it. But he was not. Instead, he said, get this, have you seen Darlie? And isn't she beautiful? Doesn't she have gorgeous breasts? With all the things that are going on, you would think that you would be concerned about other things, sir. I don't know. That's just me. He goes on to say, I could see why someone would break in. A good-looking blonde like that with 38 double Ds. I don't know about the police, but right then and there, I would be arresting his ass. Like, he did it. Oh my God. Like, I don't know why he said that. He is being very inconspicuous, I guess. Of course, police thought this was strange because he had just lost both of his sons, and he wasn't even sure that Darlie was going to live or not. Like, for all he knew, she was going to die too. She was in the hospital. Like, he had no clue if anyone was going to survive, and those were the things that was coming out of his mouth that he said. He also later gave a statement to the media talking about, like, he couldn't believe that someone would break in and take away the two most prized possessions of his, which he was speaking about his children. But if you watch the video, you can just tell, when you see the interview, you can just tell it's a little bit off. Doesn't seem distraught, honestly. Now it's time to go into the palettes. Shana sha, shana sha, shana sha, shana sha, shana sha. Ooh, I'm so excited. Look at all these gorgeous shades. I'm gonna go in with these three shades here in the center. It is Tan Lines, Ocean Avenue, and Toasty are calling my name. So I'm going to go in with those, and we are going to create a little soft glam sort of look. I think that's what it's called. I always say neutral glam, but it's called soft glam. I'm just not a professional makeup anything. But anyway, back to the story. In the kitchen, police noticed a set of white handle knives on the counter, and it appeared that one spot was missing a knife. When police checked, it appeared that the murder weapon, which was a white knife, had come from the Routier's own collection of knives in the kitchen. The blood drops on the floor was photographed and collected for DNA evidence. The size of the droplets of blood would be compared and analyzed to see if it matched with Darlie's version of what happened that night. They also took a look at Darlie's blood-stained nightshirt because they felt that it too might be able to help in finding out what happened that night. DNA testing of the bloody sock found in the alley revealed that the blood belonged to the two boys. However, police bloodhounds were not able to track the intruder's scent beyond the sock. The funny thing that police were curious about is, why would an intruder leave behind the murder weapon, a whole knife, but take the bloody sock with him down the alley as he left? It just really made no sense and was very confusing to investigators. Forensic pathologists just thought that this was a little bit strange and inconsistent. Why would he at least not dispose of the sock in the trash bin or something like that? Why would he leave it just like displayed out in the open? Like I said, sir, you're fired. You aren't even a good intruder. Police found some other inconsistencies in Darlie's story. Darlie said she chased the intruder through the house and he knocked a wine glass on the floor. But pieces of glass were on top of the blood drops on the floor, and there was no glass or cuts on Darlie's feet. This is getting weirder and weirder. Underneath the overturned vacuum cleaner was more blood splatter and a wheel impression in the blood. So it appeared that Darlie actually ran through the kitchen before the glass broke and the vacuum was overturned, not after. On the handle of the vacuum cleaner was a blood stain. It was Darlie's. The blood had dripped at an 80-degree angle onto the handle, almost as if Darlie was leaning over the vacuum cleaner. The pattern was not consistent with the version of the story that Darlie told police. She told them that she was running past the vacuum cleaner, not leaning over it. So either Darlie was really confused about what happened that night, or she knew more about the murders of her own sons than she was letting on. Police brought in a blood splatter expert to examine the blood droplets that was found in the home. It was his job to interpret the story that was told by the blood trail. He noticed that the blood splatter pattern was circular in shape, which meant that they were deposited by someone standing still or from someone moving slowly. Now, Darlie said that she was stabbed on the sofa and while bleeding ran to the kitchen. But blood splatter analysts said that that wasn't really a consistent story, because if she was running, then the blood droplets would have been not perfectly circular, but they would have had like a little drip coming from it, so like a little tail end that would indicate the direction in which the person that was bleeding was running. So more like a teardrop. Darlie also told the police that the intruder had dropped the knife on the kitchen floor. The blood splatter analysts could not find evidence of any of that. They said that they did not see any sort of evidence that there was a knife drop onto the floor. There was no blood imprint from the knife on the floor, so something was up. Homegirl had a plan. So police brought in an audio specialist to listen to Darlie's 911 call and to pick up on if she had any inconsistencies in her voice, like if she was telling the truth or lying, or what her feelings actually were. In order to analyze Darlie's voice, the audio analyst had to isolate just Darlie's voice from the background noise in the call. The forensic audio pathologist found that Darlie had at least moved through 3 different rooms while on the phone with the police. He believed that it was in a very, very rapid manner and that she hadn't stayed very long in any one of the rooms. She was just like running throughout the house. What a weird bitch. Oops, I can't say bitch, can I? So, if Darlie was walking briskly in between the rooms, like the forensic audio pathologist said, that would be contradictory to the story that Darlie told police. Huh? I forgot what I was saying because this shade is so beautiful. Oh my God. I don't even want to know what that looks like with a wet brush. Girl, you didn't. Baby girl, you didn't done something. You didn't done something. Let's do, ooh. I want to take a picture now. I don't even want to wait. When police interviewed Darlie right after the murder, she was holding a wet towel. That's what I'm trying to say. She was holding a wet towel to her neck wound. Now police was wondering if the towel had been used to clean up the blood before the police got there. To find out, investigators used luminol.
Luminol is a chemical that glows when sprayed on an area where blood was removed. Once police applied the luminol and turned off the lights in the kitchen, they were able to see a set of footprints right in front of the sink.
This made the hair on the back of the investigator's neck stand up. The footprints belonged to none other than Darlie. On the cabinets in front of the sink, there were visible blood, and the luminol revealed that there was even more blood that was cleaned up. The amount of blood that was left behind led police to believe that someone stood in front of the sink for quite some period of time, bleeding. There was also blood drops on top of blood drops on the floor in front of the sink. DNA testing revealed that the blood belonged to Darlie. Prosecutors suspected that it was there where Darlie had cut her neck and arm. Also on the carpet, there was an unusual blood impression. It was the outline of the murder weapon. The heavy line of blood on the tip of the blade told forensic scientists something really important about the killer. The angle in which the blood was falling down the knife told the forensic pathologist that the blood had to have come from the person holding the knife and not from the victim. They felt that that would produce that very heavy bleeding that they got at the tip of the knife. Coincidentally, Darlie had a knife wound on her right arm. The DNA test revealed that the blood was that of Darlie's and Damon's, and not of an unknown attacker. Now, Darlie says she picked up the knife after the assailant dropped it and put it on the kitchen counter. She mentioned nothing about taking it into the family room. There was no bloody trail, no fingerprints, no nothing. There was no trace at all of an unknown suspect. There was no physical evidence of any unknown person coming into their home. Police was now convinced that there was no intruder on that night in the Routiers' home. Just 8 days after the murder, the Routiers celebrated what would have been Devon's 7th birthday. So they were all in the cemetery, and family members had invited a local news crew down to the cemetery to film the celebration. Darlie's behavior was very, very, bizarre, to say the least. Ooh, if you guys see her interview, this interview with Darlie talking to the media that day, she is spraying silly string everywhere. She's jumping around, smiling, laughing as if she's having the time of her life. Saying like, oh, they're up in heaven right now and they would have wanted us to have a good time. They wouldn't want us to be sad, so that's why I'm not sad and I'm in a bubbly mood. But it's like, okay, even if that is true, you would still see some form or slight like sadness or uneasiness about it, and there was none. I couldn't see any. The district attorney watched the entire celebration on TV, and he could not believe Darlie's behavior. He was just overwhelmed with like sickness and repulsiveness of Darlie's behavior. He couldn't stand her at this point. Like, he knew something was wrong. I think they made a huge mistake by inviting the media there. Huge mistake. At the Dallas County Institute of Forensic Scientists, a scientist named Charles Lynch discovered the most damning piece of evidence. It directly contradicted Darlie's intruder story. On one of the bread knives from the Routier's kitchen, Lynch found a single fiberglass rod and some rubber dust. The cut screen in the Routier's garage was made of polyfiber chloride bundles. The interior core of that bundle was made of fiberglass rods. I thought that this was going to be nice, but the more I look at it, the more I'm just like, what did I do? The fiberglass rods that was found on the knife in the Routier's kitchen was identical to the fiberglass found on the Routier's screen. They could not find any other source of fiberglass throughout the Routier's home that was even remotely similar. So the conclusion was that the fiberglass found on the knife came from the Routier's screen, but not without exclusion from other sources. And on Darlie's nightshirt, forensic scientists found cast-off blood patches on the back right shoulder area. DNA testing revealed that the blood belonged to the two boys. The blood pattern would be consistent with someone stabbing. For instance, if someone was stabbing someone else and the blood splatter from the knife flung backwards, it would have landed on the right shoulder, which is exactly where the blood stains landed on the back of Darlie's shirt. The blood splatter was pointed upwards, which was consistent with a bloody knife in Darlie's right hand. The forensic evidence told a different story from the one that Darlie had told police. Prosecutors believe that the murders were premeditated and that Darlie purposely encouraged the boys to sleep with her in the family room that night. Sometime after 2 a.m., they believe Darlie took a bread knife and stabbed the two boys. Darlie took the knife and cut the screen in the garage first to make it look like an intruder had come in. She then returned the knife to the holder without rinsing the fiberglass residue that was found from the screen. Darlie then took the largest knife she had and returned to the family room. They believe Darlie may have removed her panties to suggest the possibility of a sexual assault. She then attacked her two boys, stabbing them with the knife, went back into the kitchen and cut her own throat and her arm. This would have been consistent with the blood splatter drops that they found in the kitchen in front of the sink. Then something Darlie wasn't expecting happened. 5-year-old Damien was still alive, so she returned to the living room, chasing him with the knife. He was then stabbed an additional 2 more times. The knife impression found on the carpet was caused by the blood wound that was dripping from her arm onto the knife. They believe that Darlie, while on the phone with police, was moving very quickly throughout the home into different rooms as she staged the crime scene. Police believe the motive for the murders was that the children were simply in Darlie's way. She had a certain type of life she wanted to live, and the children permitted her from doing that. So that is the reason why she murdered her own children. What a whack job, huh? What a wacko. Darlie Routier was arrested and charged with the murder of both of her 2 sons. Darren Routier, her husband, denied that he had any involvement in the murders. He didn't seem too devastated either, so I think they both were in on it, but that's just me. No charges were filed against him. Thanks to forensic science and some good police work, Darlie Routier was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. I just realized after going over some of the footage that the sound is really fucked up, and I definitely cannot refilm this whole video, so I'm gonna have to try to fix that. But if you guys hear any issues with the sound, I do apologize. This is the finished makeup look. I think it looks pretty dang good. The shadow formulation was great. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this palette. If you've picked it up, do you like it? Do you not like it? What is your conclusion? Please let me know what you guys thought about this case and my makeup look in the comments down below. You ready to do the outro? You ready to do the outro? Why you look so grumpy? You wanted to be on camera, now you're looking grumpy. If you like videos like these, check out my last episode. I will leave it linked on the screen right here. And I will see you guys next Friday with another Forensic Friday episode. Bye.